Hey everyone, quick question. How does a small country with no ocean, no oil, and full of mountains become one of the richest in the world? Sounds crazy, right? But that's exactly what happened with Switzerland. For over 100 years, this little country in the heart of Europe has stayed at the top of the global economy. So how did they do it? What's the secret? Let's break it all down. Smart decisions, bold moves. And yes, even the darker parts of the story. Since 1815, Switzerland chose to stay out of wars. No conflicts, no military alliances, just neutral. While other European countries were fighting and rebuilding, Switzerland stayed calm and open for business. That stability attracted money. Wealthy people, companies, and banks started sending their money there, far from the chaos. So yeah, neutrality became a very profitable strategy. In 1934, Switzerland passed a law making it illegal to share banking info, even with other governments. That changed everything. The country became a safe haven for money. Rich people, corrupt politicians, even criminals sent their cash to Swiss banks. No questions asked. During World War II, Swiss banks bought 80% of the gold sold by Nazi Germany, and a lot of that gold was stolen from Jewish families. Still, by 2022, Swiss banks were managing nearly $3 trillion in foreign assets. Banking today makes up about 9% of Switzerland's economy. Switzerland has no oil, no coal, and no access to the sea. So no big ports, no mining, and no cheap energy. But what they did have: rivers, mountains, and brains. Back in the 1800s, they took advantage of fast-moving rivers to power factories using water, especially in textile production, while countries like the UK were using coal to run machines. The Swiss found a cleaner, local solution: hydropower. Since they couldn't rely on importing raw materials, they had to focus on quality, precision, and innovation. That mindset led them to build advanced machinery and tools, things that didn't need tons of resources, but demanded skill and engineering. This do more with less approach became part of the Swiss identity, and it laid the foundation for their high-tech industries later on, from precision instruments to world-class manufacturing. So yeah, they turned the lack of natural resources into a competitive advantage. Not easy, but very smart. Back in the 1500s and 1600s, French Protestants, called Huguenots, fled to Switzerland, escaping religious violence. They brought a special skill: watchmaking. Over time, Switzerland became the global leader in luxury watches: Rolex, Omega, Swatch. Today, watches make up around 6 to 7% of Swiss exports. And chocolate? The Swiss eat about 12 kilograms per person each year and export 75% of what they produce. It all started with fabric. Back in the 1800s, Switzerland was producing a lot of textiles. And to make those fabrics colorful, they needed chemical dyes. So they started building chemical labs to create those dyes locally instead of importing them. But those labs didn't stop at color. Over time, they expanded into other areas of chemistry, experimenting with new compounds and materials. As science progressed, many of these small labs evolved into full-scale pharmaceutical companies, researching medicine, developing treatments, and producing high-quality drugs. Fast forward to today, and Switzerland is a global leader in pharma and biotech. Companies like Roche, Novartis, and Syngenta are based there making everything from cancer treatments to vaccines to agricultural chemicals. This sector isn't just big, it's huge. Pharma and chemical production now account for around 25% of everything Switzerland makes and exports. In other words, a country that started with fabric dye became one of the world's most important hubs for life-saving medicine. Not a bad upgrade. You might wonder, how can a landlocked country succeed in global trade? Simple, by becoming a trading hub. Swiss companies don't ship the products. They handle the deals, financing, and logistics from inside their offices. Today, Switzerland controls 35% of the world's cocoa trade, 50% of coffee trade, 60% of metal trading, around 35% of oil trading. This brings in around 20 billion Swiss francs a year, almost 4% of their economy. Switzerland is made up of 26 cantons, kind of like small states. Each one controls its own taxes, schools, and healthcare. This decentralized system means better local decisions, and they invest heavily in education and innovation. The results? GDP per person, around $105,000. Average adult wealth, over $560,000. Low unemployment, around 2 to 3%. Some of the best quality of life in the world. Not everyone is rich, of course, but on average, Swiss people are doing really well. But not everything is perfect. During World War II, Switzerland made money from stolen Nazi gold and took a long time to return funds to Holocaust victims. For decades, Swiss banks helped dictators, criminals, and tax evaders hide their money. From 2008 to 2020, they paid over $12 billion in fines for helping people avoid taxes. Today, the rules are stricter, and banking secrecy isn't what it used to be, but a lot of that money is still sitting there. In recent years, Switzerland had to change. Under global pressure, they started sharing banking information with other countries. That was a big shift. At the same time, new competitors like Singapore and Hong Kong are rising fast in the private banking world. But Switzerland still holds strong. Its name still means trust, precision, and quality, and that continues to matter. Like this story? There's more where that came from. Hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and turn on the bell. We've got more powerful stories coming your way, explained in a way that just makes sense. See you next time.